doing, everyone? So today we're going to be having a look at the Garmin 945. So 945 from Garmin. It is a 3-year-old watch, just been replaced by the 955. But is it still worth buying now in the summer of 2022? Let's find out. So the watch itself is here, that's it, just there. It's plastic silicone strap, uses Gorilla Glass on the front there, so very strong watch face to it. It's 47mm deep, so it's a fairly narrow watch. The display's good. One thing about the display though is there's a function on it where you can put the light on if you twist your wrist. So to save on the battery life, I've got it set to being quite a dark display normally, but when it's on my wrist and I tilt my wrist to myself, like so, the light comes on. And as long as the light's on, I can read it nice and clearly. Never had any issues with it when I've been out exercising. When I'm exercising, I can always see the readout nice and clear. The screen, it is 240 pixels by 240 pixels. So newer watches out there have got more pixels in the screen, but it is nice and clear. No issues with it at all. Battery life, loads of different stats on battery life depending on what setting you've got it on. But in realistic mode, with using it, it is GPS and the wrist heart rate enabled. If you've got both of those on at the same time, you can get up to 40 hours battery life. So it's loads of time. Realistically, wearing it as a day-to-day watch and going out for a run or a bike ride every other day, something like that, I need to charge it, give it a quick charge every 4 days, something like that. Depends how far you've been, how much GPS use you've got out the battery. But the battery's fine. They say if you just use it as a watch, as a smartwatch, and you don't use the GPS, you get 2 weeks use. But realistically, if you own this watch, you're using it with the GPS turned on. So you will have to recharge it every few days. But that's not been an issue for me. So for charging the watch, that's the little charging point there. Comes with this little connector. That just pushes on, clicks on nice and firm like so, and then you get the other end, which is just typical USB, and charge it from that. So the watch itself does all the things you'd expect it to do with being a Garmin watch. It uses the Garmin Connect app on your phone, and it tracks all sorts of different stats. Loads more stats than the previous Garmin watch I used to have. So it'll track, sleep, pulse ox, heart rate, gives you a body battery reading. Body batteries is quite a handy feature. I have persevered with the sleep mode on the watch. It'll track how much sleep you've had, how good a quality sleep you've had, if it's good, fair, or poor, or there's probably other settings on it as well. And then it'll work out how much you've recharged your own battery. So in the mornings, if you're lucky, if I'm lucky, I'll have a body battery of 80 or plus. But more times than not, my body battery is less than that because I've not slept too well. And that gives you an indication as to how charged up you are and what sort of workout you can do that day. It also does things like, obviously, heart rate, tracks your heart rate 24/7 as long as you've got the watch on. Stress, how stressed you've been throughout the day. Floors, how many floors you've walked up, how much of an incline. So if you walked up a hill, it's going to count that as X amount of floors. If you're just walking about in your home and you go up and down the stairs a couple of times, it'll probably count that as 2 floors. So as I say, it does everything you would expect a Garmin watch to do. Tracks your weight and all sorts. And you can check all of those stats on the Garmin Connect app. So getting on to specifics for what the watch does and who's it aimed at. So it's an ideal watch for someone who's doing multi-sports. So someone, for instance, does triathlons, does loads of different sports and activities. I'll use it predominantly for running, a bit of biking, A bit of swimming. On the swimming, when I've used it in the pool, it's been bang on. I've used it and Jake's used a different watch. We've both swam the same amount of lengths, and his watch, his old Sunto, was a bit off. The 945 had the lengths exactly right. When you go into the pool, initially it'll tell you choose a pool length, 25 meters, 50 meters, input that, and then it'll work out how far you've gone. And we did, I can't remember how far we swam, but it was exactly right to the length. So it's worked really well. It also tracks your heart rate when you're swimming as well, which was pretty funky. So heart rate tracks it, all sorts of activities. I've set, when I go for runs, I've set it on heart rate zones. So when it goes to, my heart rate goes to a certain level, the watch will vibrate and beep and tell me to slow down. And I've been able to progress with my heart rate training. So it's been really good for that. Works well on the bike. It does all sorts of different things I've not used as well. Does loads of different activities. Does rowing. Does indoor rowing. You can set it for doing trail runs, standard runs. I generally just leave it as just a run. So all my stats are comparable. Otherwise, I have done it in the past where if I've logged it as a trail run and a run, the stats are just a bit different, and I prefer they were pretty much the same, to be honest. So I set, if I go for a bike ride, it's just set as a bike ride, as opposed to road bike, mountain bike, gravel bike. You can set loads of different settings in there. But if that's your thing and you want to set it separately, on you go, knock yourself out. You can do interval training, set yourself interval training with the watch. It'll give you suggested workouts as well. So depending on how you are within the week, what sort of training you've been doing, how far you've pushed yourself, it will actually try and tell you what it suggests would be the right sort of training for you that day. So it will tell you to do a fast, it's like a fartlet type of run, or a long, slow, easy run, or depending on what sport mode you've got it on. It'll also track things like your VO2 max. It'll give you your projected fitness age. You've got to put in all your other details, height, weight, and blah de blah, and having worn it for so long for it to get a bit of a map of how your body is and how you've been performing. But it will tell you loads of different stats. I've spent playing ages. We've got a bit of a game of top trumps at home where 3 of us in the house have got Garmin watches, and we're forever saying, right, what's your body battery, how many steps have you done, things like that. It's got a safety tracker feature as well, so when you're out, you can set it so it's live tracking. So if somebody wants to follow where you are, if you're out somewhere remote, somebody can track you. It's got some safety features on there, whereas if you press certain buttons in a certain sequence, you can send an alert to your emergency contacts. You can add a couple of, or I don't know how many I've just added 2. You can add emergency contacts, so if you do get in trouble and you're stuck somewhere, you can just literally press a button and they will get an alert with your location. So hopefully help would be on its way. It's also got ABC, which is altimeter, barometer, and a compass. So it's going to tell you your height. The altimeter's been pretty accurate. I've been up and down various different hills, and I've been to certain points where I know for a fact it's a certain height, and it does say it's the same height. So the altimeter works really well. The barometer, it's going to tell you weather trends, if you're sustained, so like nice high pressure period of weather, or if it's changeable and the weather's going downhill fast. So, and also the compass. So obviously you need to calibrate the compass to make it as accurate as possible, but that's an extra feature on there as well. Maps, it's even got maps on there. So the maps, depending on how much you're going to use the maps, I've not used the maps a lot, I've just played about with it, to be honest. But if you're out on a long run and you're not sure of where you're going, or I keep saying run, but it could be a bike ride, could be anything, whatever it is you guys and girls are doing out there. It does have maps, so you can zoom in, you can zoom out with it, you can scroll across the map. It's obviously only a small face, being the watch face, but you can, let's see if I can bring it up here. I'll do this and add it to the video. So yep, there's the maps. So you can see me zooming in, zooming out, and you can move it about as well. But as I said, the watch itself, 945, it's been out since April the 30th, 2019. So it's been out for just a little bit over 3 years now. Is it still worth buying now that they've brought out a new one? So weirdly enough, it's a great watch, does loads, tons of features. You'll find yourself just looking at stats all the time. Records everything you could possibly want it to. So yeah, the watch itself is brilliant. 3 years old though. Is it still worth buying? It's going to be worth buying if you can find it reduced, and it's going to go down in price now that there's a new watch out. Weirdly enough, right at this point in time with me recording this video, it's actually more expensive than the newer version. The 955's $479.99, and the 945 for some strange reason is $499.99. So right at this point in time, if you buy it from Garmin, no, it's not worth buying. Buy the newer version, the 955. But I did notice when the 955 came out a few weeks ago that they had reduced the price of the 945 by £120. But for some weird reason, they put it back up again. I can't quite understand why. But as time goes on, the price is going to go down. And if you do some Facebook Marketplace searches, just check online for various other places, you can pick up second-hand 945s at a really good price. So if you can find it reduced, great watch, loads of features, still gets system software updates, so still worth buying as long as you can get it reduced. If you can't get it reduced and you're paying full whack from Garmin, get the 955. If you can't find it reduced, why don't you just treat yourself to the new Garmin 955? I have.